Hi, I'm Cassia Strutt with Music for Your Inbox, and today I'm going to invite Justin and Kim, who is an artist and painter living in East LA, and going to give him a quick invite, and we'll talk about the postcard that he made for us this month called Garfield Park.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Cassia, what's up?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
I wanted to just let people know about like how we found you, even though I can't take credit for it because you found us. But
Oh,
Music for Inbox has an
okay.
open call of artists, and a couple of years ago, I think, or actually a year ago, you wrote in and showed us some of your work, and Jen and I both instantly were like, "Holy smokes, this is amazing!" And we instantly had like all these ideas for videos we can make to go with it and this that. By the way, like we never told you any of this, right? We're just like quietly freaking out on our own. And then finally we found the perfect video and we're like, yeah, it'd be great for this. And then I remember saying to Jen, like, does he even know that we exist or that we even got his submission? So we were doubly grateful to have your work submitted. And then of course that you remembered us. That was just sort of like the cherry on top. So what you submitted was these maps that you've been painting for quite a while now. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today was the series of maps and how they came to be and what got you interested in making maps or reproducing them with oil paints. So if you could just tell us a little bit about your initial concept for maps and how you started working on them, that would be great.
Uh, yeah, thank you for remembering me because that was so long ago that I had no idea when the email came, and I was like, "What is this?" And the emails that I don't recognize, I just think it's spam. But I do read before I execute to throw it out. And thank God I did. And thank you for remembering me and keeping me in your minds. That was long ago. But to go into the Maps series, I am fascinated with the connectedness in life, as well as relationships and overall how things come together making one thing, whether like an organization or a system or anything, there's if you dig into one thing deep enough, you can break down components and what each components do. And overall, components, they create their protocols, they have their own relationships, functional relationships, and that overall is recognized or named as one thing. So that's what I'm really into. And it started out with like me just going into like broken gadgets, like broken phones, broken computers, broken keyboards, just anything that just stopped working. And I just open them up and then look inside. And of course, I don't know anything. And I'm just looking into it. I'm like, this is cool. This is very good. This is very cool. And that just kept happening. And, to this day, I still do that whenever something breaks down. Or even better, I'll YouTube it, watch videos and whatnot, like to fix or to like break down stuff. That's very fascinating to me because that's like step by step. And along the way, people like explain what things do and then how they function, whatever. That I'm very much into. But from gadgets, they have their own ecosystem, their relationships, their like back to back, whatever. So that idea translates into like cities. If you look at any cities like New York or LA, Paris, London, they all have their protocols, what to do, what not to do, when to do, and how to do that kind of thing as a society and their mentality They're all different, but as a whole, they agreed that we're gonna do this way and how and whatnot. So that I saw that, and that's how I got into the maps. And um, in the beginning, I just made up these like imaginary places in my head, and that was really fun. And overall, I started to think, wait a minute, I'm in LA, so why not, make maps of LA? Because I love being here, and that's just how got me to do that. That was a beginning, like not beginning, but beginning of the LA maps, maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I've been doing maps of LA ever since.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of made your life a little harder when you decided to reproduce actual spaces as opposed to the ones made up in your mind, because of course the maps aren't going to follow usual aesthetic rules that art would necessarily follow because they weren't designed with like the map in mind. And then also you created this sort of technical challenge for yourself where you had to actually project a map because but before you were just going from your mind translating it. I mean, I say just, I understand that it's complicated to make art, but I'm saying that you created this technical obstacle for yourself where you needed to project a map onto a canvas and then sort of sketch out the rough areas and then of course put it somewhere flat so you could get the thickness and depth of the paint. But I'm assuming that you felt like the fact that it was a real place was important enough to overcome this technical hurdle. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that's very good. That's very fair to say. Um, yeah, it's with projecting, which I never done, that presented new challenges. And in order for me to project, I only do it at nighttime or when it's dark. So that's uh, that's how I do it. But with it comes like, okay, I can project, but how will I draw? So I draw at in the dark every time. I haven't found I haven't found a solution for that just yet. So whenever I draw a bunch of lines, I do couple and then I have to turn the light back on to make sure that I did it correctly. So that's how I do it. Uh, but it's I love to do it. It's a love for the task. It's a love of labor, which I feel sometimes, but because I'm doing it how I want it to do, I don't feel like it's laboring too much, you know? And I'm excited where the series will go. Maybe one day I could just stop projecting. I don't
Yeah,
know what that means.
well,
And
you might just memorize all of Los Angeles through the course of this and become one of these sort of savants who's like, I think about those taxi drivers in London who have to like pass some kind of test of how they've memorized the city and how it interconnects before they can actually drive a taxi in
oh
London. But
wow,
anyhow, I
that's
digress.
intense.
I know it is. You see them driving around on mopeds and they've got these little maps like clipped to the front and they're like studying it. And it's almost like becoming a sommelier or something just because London is such an
Yeah.
insane city. One thing I wanted, okay, there's like two big things that struck me about your work, these in a specific series. I'm trying to keep it really narrow because I found your work in general just very
Yes.
fascinating, but I want people to be pointing at this Garfield Park postcard. There are two things that struck me that I didn't appreciate before because I hadn't seen them in real life. But the paint is actually very thick and kind of, it's like three-dimensional. And I attributed that to the fact that when you're actually applying the paint part and not just the outline, you're doing it like it's on a table flat. It's not like on an easel. That's the word I'm looking for. It's flat. And I was gonna say painter holder, so you don't know. But but yeah, and it creates, it almost looks like a like a kind of a Lego city or something. Like there's these different heights to things that it's very hard to capture that in the photograph that's taken like dead on. So could you talk a little bit about the thickness of the paint of the buildings and how you're kind of working with that?
Yeah, the the height of the paint blocks, they it doesn't really capture in the photographs because in the photographs I have to capture it straight head on. So we might be able to see shadows in the photographs, but we don't get to see just how tall they are in the photographs. That's a challenging. So whenever I post here on Instagram, I do side views so the viewers could see just a little bit, add to the viewing pleasure. But the height, going back, it has a little interest from within me. Like I also enjoy like miniatures and seeing outside the airplane windows when I'm really high up in the airplane, whenever that may be. Um, and I think that's uh, yeah, it's very fascinating, the miniature, the interest, how it's almost like a God complex. Like I could kind of like, almost
Hmm.
hold everything in my hand, that type of feeling. Um, so I think that element is in the map. And the height I can go, it's also challenging as well as it's limiting because of the method that I'm choosing to paint. Um, but yeah, it's very fun. It's very almost like toy-like. I don't know, or model. That's a better word. Like yeah, but it's almost yeah, not. Maybe I should say emulating or aspiring to be a model like. It's very fun for me. Um, that much I could say for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
and because oh sorry,
sorry, the delay is bad. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off because I don't know how else. Yeah, it's very
that's
effective, and
okay.
it does seem like a diorama almost, or like a miniature, like you're talking about. But it also seems like
Mm,
there's like a playfulness to it, and that you just kind of enjoy it. Um, like you enjoy the process of it, and I feel like that actually also comes through because it could be pretty like laborious and sort of painful to go through each building and reproduce it. And the park, like in the one that we've done for our postcard, it's got that park image, and it could seem a little bit tedious, but there's a lot of joy in it. And I feel like as you talk about it, you're like, yeah, I'm kind of doing it in the dark and I turn the lights on, see what happens. I mean, there's sort of almost like a childlike joy to that.
uh, yeah, very much so. And I think the challenge, that's like the ongoing challenge as my practice, keeps going and does well. Um, and want, I'm seeking for comfort, I suppose. But how do I combat the comfort that I'm putting myself in, the comfortable environment that I'm putting myself in? Because once you're comfortable, the work stops being, it stops climbing up. So each challenges that I'm facing right now that's making me uncomfortable, I think that's a good place to be, Um, yeah, so I kind of want to address all the tasks, I mean, all the obstacles that I have right now, just like iron them out flat so I could just like be comfortable, have almost no impediment in the working process. But I feel they're good to have. They're part of the process. I shouldn't like want to I iron them out. I should just embrace and like figure out how to work with along with, not trying to bypass it. So I feel like I'm at a good place right now, um, in terms of the impediment. um, yeah, but
Yeah, it
yeah.
sounds like you're like looking for friction and not so much that you wouldn't actually create the work, but not so little that it just becomes this like automatic thing that you're doing? Because I mean, there are technical things you could do, obviously, to make this process easier or not, but that might break the whole system as as a whole, which is kind of fascinating. There's like another element to your paintings that that I really like that you've actually stopped doing, but it's okay. I'm sure I'll like the other ones too, where you've included these
Oh,
longitudinal and latitudinal lines along the edge to create a
oh,
border.
yeah.
Uh,
And that's been brought up by a few people. Yeah, that's a good point because I still dig them, and but at the same time, a couple feedback were they are too distracting to the eye because there's so much going on, and which is valid, I feel like, only because I'm choosing to leave the background, so they're seeing that. But at the same time, now that I'm thinking, what if I just cover up the whole thing and leave everything? So that way, I'm not just like leaving things out and just still keep true and have some integrity that or that the work started out with from the beginning.
yeah, I think it's neat. You keep chipping away at this. You're kind of chipping away at the. It's not a problem. It's just like chipping away at this idea, and that's what's interesting about it, is to see sort of this. I mean, we've featured like one of many that you have in your series, and I mean, I feel like the only solution to people sort of seeing that three-dimensional aspect is to just buy one of your paintings so they can actually look at it because it's just so different in real life. Um, and I know that this is an
Thank you.
ongoing series that you have. I mean, I got a treat because I got to actually go on a studio visit. And I don't know where your work is shown sort of in the wild, but yeah, there's a richness and a depth to it. I'm wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what's on the horizon for you, like in terms of if you're still working on this map, um, like trajectory, or if you're heading off in a new direction with a new series or a different kind of technique.
Uh, First of all, thank you for hyping my work up so much. It's yeah, it's very flattering, and I appreciate that so much. And in terms of future, or what's coming up on the horizon, I there may be a residency coming up over in Korea, which is super exciting. Um, and in terms of the map series, I don't know. There's so much to do. And while that's a big statement, like, it's a one thing, one step at a time, one piece at a time, because with one, there's some sort of refinement happening, as like these paintings get made. Like I figure out, oh, okay, that didn't work out so well. So I try to refine that and then refine other elements as these paintings get made. And there's so much to do, so much that I want to do, and see how they become and what they become. It's really, I can't even imagine what will happen. So, but I'm excited for it. And that's a good place to be. Because I think when you have, I don't know. But yeah, I'll just say that's a good place to be for me, at least for me. Like this excitement, because it's very good to have, and it's hard to encounter. Um, so I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think it'll be, well, if you're going to be traveling to Korea to work, does that mean that you ship everything back and forth? Or, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a musician, so our residencies are like put your violin on an airplane, but you have actual complicated things to
uh,
sort out.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing to figure out. But it's a good problem to figure out together. Um, but uh, I think the program, the residency program, I'm staying there for a duration of time, and they expect me to like make certain amount of works and then exhibit at the end.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Wow.
and in terms of what kind of work I'll be making, I don't know. And that's another, very good, exciting thing and thing to like think about and kind of wonder about myself. And also, people could think like, oh, that's baloney. You should have some kind of plan and then plan to execute step by step. Um, while that's true, I don't like to do that, which got kind of like conflicts with the maps that I'm making because in a way they require so much planning, like city planning and then like design languages and then these uh, what do you call like you can't just wing it, improvise because when you design something, you need to figure out where it goes, what does what, and how that's gonna be executed most efficiently to save energy or money or time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm the complete opposite when I make work, which is fascinating to me. Um, uh, yeah, it's so good that I'm not working as an engineer or or a city planner or anything. Because then I'll be like, I don't know. That's my go-to answer. I don't know, but let's find out. Um, and I'll just get fired. I'll probably never even get hired. uh, but yeah, it's complete opposite way of working, which I find fascinating and interesting. Um,
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're creating your own systems and your own hurdles to overcome. And then it's sort of like instead of people opening up a broken printer or something, they're like looking into your mind and you're like, yeah, it's a mess, but like I'm gonna get through it all in a great way. That's fascinating. I can really see how I mean, like the intricacies of how machines are working and not working. And I think we all have this desire to, well, not all of us, but many of us do, to reach inside something and figure out what makes it tick. And through your visual art, you're really able to do that and point things out. I mean, stuff that you're doing with the maps that I think people may not realize at first is that you're choosing what to highlight and emphasize and de-emphasize, and you're creating these other connections, even just based on color choice or texture, and you're getting people to look at it in a different way. I mean, with Garfield Park, the print we chose, um, that's the place. It's in South Pasadena. I've been there, many, many, many times. I have a very close friend who's a composer, who's actually been on our platform a lot, who lives right around the corner, and he had a baby, and babies like to be outside all the time. So I've met him in that park a lot, and with my own kids,
that's
and
so nice.
so yeah, it had a real connection. But it was neat to see that like through your eyes because um it just looks different and stuff, and that's the whole point, is to have this new perspective. um yeah,
Yes.
Justin, thanks so much for like being on our platform and for sharing your work with us. And we feel like it really supports the sound film that we paired it with, which is the sound film by Miguel Ayala, because he lives in downtown LA, but he cares for his parents who live in San Bernardino, and so he's just driving like a ton. And so his video has a
Dang.
lot of maps in it and a lot of like this idea of driving and moving through different city spaces, because it looks really different where his folks live compared to where he's living. And
Right.
yeah, the two pieces just really complement each other, and just give us this idea of these two artists who are living and working in East LA County, and then just their different perceptions of those spaces. So we're super pumped that, like, I know, I'm sorry it took us a year to reach out, but we promise it won't be that long next time.
Oh no, no worries. And thank you for sharing Miguel's film. I watched it and it's absolutely beautiful. The visuals and the sound, I thought, oh wow, I'm watching an indie film. This is so great. And um, yeah, it's amazing how some people can drive back and forth. I mean, I could do it too, but then I would just hate that, with all my fiber of being, because I see it as, it's time. Um,
Hmm.
but the film is absolutely beautiful, and these moments, like the images, like um, uh, they're so good, and the sound. It made me think of that film, Little Miss Sunshine,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're all in that van. They're going somewhere for that little daughter's competition. They're all going somewhere. It made me think of that, and I watched it like when I was in high school. That was in, that was intense. Um, yeah, that was really good. The sound, it was just like so serene, complete opposite to the driving experience. I mean, there's moments in the film where it's like it there's like skulls and exits and then like red lights, and then I thought, oh, okay, that's like you hating driving. And but the film was absolutely wonderful. I had a nice time
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
watching it.
ultimately it ends up being kind of like a love letter to the commute and to the drive and stuff,
Yeah.
which is just a completely different take on that I than what I would have. I mean, anyhow, yeah, it was just to point out that I feel like when I see the postcard and I see the film together, they feel like they're really pointing at different things, but at the same thing, and so that's
Mm.
why we were really happy to pair the two of you together, and maybe you'll meet in real life someday.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be fascinating and do another different take. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder what that's going to be like. Maybe, I don't know,
Well,
something better
if
or
people want
something
to get
worse.
a postcard from Justin and Kim, they're available on our website, Music for Your Inbox. And this month, our postcard addressing person has been really practicing his calligraphy. And when I got my
Mm.
postcard, I was like, holy smokes, like he has gone all out. So if you get a postcard this month and he has
Oh,
his nice pen out, you're gonna have like front and back beautiful work of art. Um, so so yeah, thanks, Justin. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you chatting with us and sharing your work. And yeah, we look forward to having you in our weirdo art community because you're stuck.
thank you for having me. This was such a great experience, and I had a lot of fun visiting you Jen in Chinatown and seeing all these films and just hanging out in the studio. Uh,
Yeah.
thank you, and then yeah, call me back anytime.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Justin.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.